I'd like to welcome Pardhu Namburi to the Brickers Foundation's one-on-one series. Today we're going to be discussing Joyful Rise, a wellness nonprofit. So, what inspired Joyful Rise?
What inspired Joyful Rise is basically a very long question to answer. It has to do with what inspired me in the first place to start Joyful Rise. Essentially, when I'll basically give my life story. So before I was in ninth grade, I was like any other Indian American Hindu that was born in the United States. And essentially, I was on the tennis team. I was a class clown. I was that type of person. And after ninth grade, or during ninth grade, I essentially went through a transformation in life where I was very attracted to spirituality, spiritual philosophy. And because of that, I actually wanted to become a monk. And I spent years training to become a monk. And essentially, what happened was that when I was training to become a monk, I went to India. And in India, I wasn't able to bear seeing and hearing about all the corruption that was going on in different centers. So I worked on finding ways to reduce the corruption and increase ethics. And when I was on that journey in India to do that, I kind of got distracted away from my monkhood into being an anti-corruption type of person. And I tried to work with a spiritual leader to reduce corruption in India. And basically, what actually worked very well was not me talking about rules, regulations, creating bodies that are governing bodies. That didn't work at all. But what worked and what people really liked was virtue ethics. So what I did was I interviewed a major Hindu religious leader in India on virtue ethics, such as compassion, kindness, and empathy. Those interviews went viral on Instagram. Because when those interviews went viral, I'm like, oh my god, like this is something that is actually working, and it isn't a wasted effort like the other stuff that I've been doing, where people thought I was like an alien trying to do stuff because corruption was so widespread and that it's so normal in India. So after that, I had to go back to the U.S. to finish my degree. So there was a course in ethics and leadership, and the virtue ethics section hit me again, and I'm like, hey, every single human being can have compassion, kindness, empathy. Me and you both can have those feelings. Why don't I expand my wings rather than limit myself and basically believe in all the beliefs that want to do the most good through positive universal human virtues? So I basically had a realization that these virtues are not unique to any single religion or any single human being. Every single human being can have it. So because of that, I actually started Joyful Rise once I expanded my wings and my belief system. And I'm like, I want to create an organization which is kind of like a lab that tests how can we best maximize these positive universal human virtues in the world to create a massive positive impact. I want to see the world a much better place. And I believe that these virtues, if maximized, can unite people and unite other beings rather than divide people. And in today's day and age, everyone knows this. We need more unity rather than division.
Wow, that's an incredible story. So, you also have a background in technology, and I wanted to sort of build on what you said about we need less division, and we need to sort of change the world with this. And I wanted to talk to you about how you're incorporating your background in technology and awareness of, because you want to incorporate new apps and you want to create hardware even with this nonprofit you're starting. And I want to talk a little bit about that. And I also would like to know why now? And with AI happening, and you're going to incorporate that in this nonprofit and in the software you're creating, and the hardware. And I'd like to know a little bit more about why now and the current moment, and sort of how that's influenced your decisions with this nonprofit, given your background as well.
Yeah, no, that's a very good question. We're an AI assisted character development and wellness nonprofit focused on boosting love, joy, and positivity in the world through positive universal human virtues. So the way that technology works is we are not, I won't say, like I'll say one thing, that when we say AI assisted, we mean AI assisted. We don't mean AI powered. AI is not the primary driver of the organization. AI is like a black box. It may hallucinate. No one can 100% trust it. And especially when we're talking about ideology, if it outputs a wrong thing or it hallucinates, it could be very dangerous without proper safety guardrails. So, what I would say is that that's the reason why we have it as an AI assisted part of our organization. You'll see it in stuff like, okay, whether we're matching people, we'll use AI for matching people, or we'll use AI in lower risk areas. But for higher risk areas, you're probably not going to see us use AI at all. And even if we did use it, it would require very high security guardrails.
Okay, and let's talk a little bit about what the actual software and programs that you're creating are, and some of the hardware even. I know there's a watch in development. I know that you do consulting with online consulting with wellness experts, and I'd like to talk a little bit more about what's going on in the nonprofit, that some projects and things that you'd like to highlight.
Yeah, so the first project that I want to highlight is called Positive Rise. Basically, think of it as Instagram, except for positivity. And it also has one-on-one matching to create more authentic human digital connection. So essentially, the goal of the app is to maximize positive universal human virtues through the digital content that's created on the platform by humans, not AI. So
Okay.
I have to say that because every day, like when I talk about it, they're like, "So do you mean that you're matching people with AI?" I'm like, "No, we're not having AI slop. We're not going to be a shutdown version of Sora. No,
Yeah.
we have nothing to do with that trash." So
Okay.
yeah, but basically, this is one of our primary projects that we're currently focused on, and we're actually looking to partner with universities, Midwestern universities at the start, and white labeling the app before we do a full public launch, so that we can actually make sure that it produces the intended impacts for what we're trying to do. So that's one of the projects I wanted to talk about. The second project is our academy. So basically, it's an academy where we interview religion. Let me actually rephrase this. So, um, it's a character development and wellness academy, and the content that we get is from interviews of religious and non-religious leaders in the field of positive universal human virtues. From those interviews, we create mini courses. Those mini courses have short videos, assignments, quizzes, a gamification, everything in an entertaining manner that increases positive universal human virtues. And basically, once the user goes through the course, that mini course, then they can volunteer at a nonprofit of their choice. So this basically is, think of, like, I'll tell you, talk about it from a user perspective. If you're a user, you would select your age group, and then you would select your belief system, whether, let's say, you believe in the Episcopal side of Christianity or the Vaishnava side of Hinduism, or you're an atheist, whatever it is, you would select that belief system. Then a recommended mini course based on your background will be shown, and then the user can go through that course. And then once they completed, volunteer at a nonprofit of their choice. So basically, we're trying to increase positive virtues and help people put it into practice.
So you mentioned the college campuses, and I think that's a great idea that you're starting on a college campus. A lot of apps have started their way. I think Tinder, Facebook, and that's a great ground to sort of grow your brand and try out ideas. And I want to ask a little bit about the name and how you decided on that. I personally I thought it was a morning app that you look at in the morning and it cheers you up. And I think there is an element of sort of happy videos and things on the app. So that's I think that might be where the name's coming from. But if you could tell us more, that'd be great.
Yeah, so that's a very good question, and it actually it was actually not an easy task to come up with a name. So basically, the organization name, Joyful Arise, basically stemmed from the philosophy that positive universal human virtues, when increased, can create an increased level of joy in people. So the goal is to basically rise the joy of people through increased positive universal human virtues such as compassion, kindness, and empathy.
Okay. And I there are 14 of these listed on the website, right? There are
14 virtues, yeah.
virtues. Okay. Um, how did you determine those? Was that in your travels? I think you mentioned that you decided on these, and how did you sort of determine those?
Basically, the way that I determined these virtues was I did a lot of research in various areas, and I'm like, okay, what are 14 virtues which are common to people that increase positivity or increase the betterment of the world? So that's when I started looking. And when I did research, I had to do a lot of deep research because this is about ideology, philosophy. Um, I spent some time looking at textbooks. I spent time looking at different sources online, different articles, and different areas. And like, I came up with saying that, okay, these are different virtues which we'd like to propagate. And we are in the future, we may consolidate them because some virtues lead to other virtues, such as selflessness leads to compassion or kindness and empathy. So there's there's a way to consolidate these virtues, but you'll see stuff like, I'll give an example: gratitude. Gratitude is a virtue that increases internal well being and it creates more positivity from within. At the same time, compassion increases the well-being of others, and it also increases the well-being of oneself. So the virtues are basically based on stuff that both increase well-being and increase positivity in the world.
Okay, that's very interesting. That's I think it's great that you're doing something positive, and I also I'd like to bring up your team and sort of how you've been building what's become a pretty substantial endeavor. I think you have 10 people
More than 10
helping in
people.
this. Yeah, I looked into it, and there's you have some people with law backgrounds, people with nonprofit backgrounds, researchers. Could you tell us a little bit about everyone else who's involved in the project?
Yeah, sure. So basically, there's a variety of people involved in our org, and we're probably gonna double within the next month or two, because we recently posted an application, and there's a ton of interest for people to join as like even just volunteers in leadership positions. There's people who are more established. They want to spend their time, like they don't have anything else to do. They made their money. They're established. They see the wars that are going on in the world. They see the unrest, the ideological polarization in the U.S., the hatred and everything spreading, and they're like, "Hey, like I don't want to see this." They want to do something about it, and our organization offers a space where they're able to do something about it in a scalable manner. So we get people from various backgrounds, such as uh, there's one person who was basically a professor who taught in a nonprofits class that I was in, and there's people who are like C-suite executives who have a lot of experience in their own areas. Like one guy, he's a secretary and he's a C-suite executive at a coach training company, and coaching has to do with selflessness and helping others. Another guy, he was very well accomplished in the nonprofit space and holds leadership roles. And you'll see other people in like the tech space, a former Amazon tech leader. And like these people, they want something more meaningful in life. They feel like whatever they're doing on a day-to-day basis, it may not be fulfilling enough. And they want to do more. They want to make a more massive positive impact in the world, and that's why they come to our organization. And what I say to them is that, hey, our organization is very powerful because we're talking about ideology. We're talking about boosting positive universal human virtues in the world. And if those virtues are boosted, that has the ability to not only unite people, but create a massive positive impact in the world in many different sectors, whether it be in animal welfare or basically in criminal justice and they're like for people and also for people who are like homeless, right? So there's like many different sectors that are just byproducts. People will want to do more good from receive after like being on our app or being on the academy. So that's basically what it is, if that answers your question.
Yeah, that sounds great. And you mentioned animal welfare, and I just from my time on the app and on the website, I noticed that I think what you're doing is taking content that people do enjoy on other apps, such as on Instagram, you see videos of cats and dogs and their nice, happy images and things. And I think if you could tell us a bit more about what exactly it is that people will interact with, is it sort of just things that make them happy, like an image of a. I saw there was a like a 10-second calm down where you count to 10, you see something beautiful, and that's I saw the companies like YouTube, even YouTube TV has a countdown of, instead of an ad, they'll show you a meadow and it will give you 10 seconds of space, and I think there is a great need for that, and this sort of meditative aspect. And if you could talk a bit more about that, I think it's super interesting.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And like what I would say is that on the app, you'll see content that is focused on some sort of virtue. You'll see content which conveys a message of compassion, conveys a message of gratitude, conveys a message of empathetic justice. There's so many different virtues that are positive that can bring people together. You may even see, hey, a little kid is hugging a dog, right? That's kindness. You like you'll also see something like, hey, uh, one person is helping an elderly person walk through the street, right? There's random acts of kindness. There's pay it forward moments. There's a lot of moments that are just untapped, which it's curating in one platform in one space without the doom scrolling or addictive aspect where people lose themselves. And they, like, for example, on Instagram or YouTube, you could easily lose yourself when you're scrolling through. You may be looking at some cat hugging videos or whatever, and then all of a sudden you look at some ad or you look at something else and you get something completely different is recommended. And if you lose control of your senses, you basically go into a downward spiral.
Right.
Right. So it's like, and then you feel guilty because you wasted all that time. But here we actually have a feature where if a person is doom scrolling for more than 5 minutes, then it actually shows a pop up where it says, "Hey, you've been scrolling for 5 minutes nonstop. It's great that you're looking at positive content that's uplifting you, but in order to actually do something good in the world, You can't just be scrolling on your phone. Here are some organizations you could volunteer for, and it gives a list of nonprofits that they could volunteer for and actually make a positive impact in the world.
Wow, that's incredible. That's awesome. That's definitely needed, and I think there's a lot of like you said, a lot of scrolling going on. It's not positive. It's a wonderful idea. And I'd like to talk more about sort of how you're going to incorporate something called the Academy Project, and how just a little bit about the future too of where you want to go, and what your idea is of your vision is for the entire app and the nonprofit.
Yeah, so I think that's a very good question. The In terms of the Academy project, as discussed previously, okay, so we have those. We basically have to compile a ton of interviews with different people from different philosophies. We've already interviewed a couple religious leaders. We need to interview people from different backgrounds still. We need to interview life coaches. We need to interview psychologists. We need to interview like so many like counselors, so many people from so many different backgrounds on positive universal human virtues before we launch it, so that it caters to everyone. And that so it's that project is going to take a bit more time before we launch. In terms of the future of the organization, uh, I'm going to step aside to the Positive Rise app, which is a positivity social media networking platform. By quarter two of 2027, we aim to reach at least 500,000 users. We're working on building a kindness influencer alliance in the background. So, since I'm a micro influencer on LinkedIn, I was able to connect with some kindness influencers, and we're potentially going to build an alliance so that those people join as brand ambassadors on the mobile application. We also got a $10,000 a month Google ad grant. And keep in mind, we started this organization in August of 2025. And I started it during my degree program here at Northwestern University, where I'm doing my master's in public policy and administration. So I, I've been doing this in parallel, a lot of this in parallel with my degree program.
Right.
And it's like once I graduate, I want to see that one day maybe I could do this full time, and I can actually see how I can make a massive positive impact on this planet with this organization. And at the end of the day, I'm like, we don't know when we're gonna die. Like, I'll give an example. Today in the morning,
Right.
today in the morning I wasn't able to properly sleep.
Okay.
And so I'm like, okay, I got up, and then I was just reading an article which was talking about creepy noises that you should be scared of, right? And I don't even know why I was reading that article. Someone sent it to me. So someone sent it to me, and I'm like, why did they send it to me? So they sent that article to me, and I was reading through it, and I'm like, wow, these type of things would probably scare the living life out of people if they read through it. Like someone knocking on your door at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. And then you hear like silence. If you had kids, you hear like sudden silence for like a couple minutes. That means something went wrong, or you hear a loud thud and then silence. Like it's like just horrible things. And this is why we have the Positive Rise up, so things like that don't show up on people's social media. But I was reading through it, and I'm like, I'm not scared. And I don't like, even if this happened to me, so if some random guy knocked on my door at like 3 a.m., I wouldn't be scared, because I'm not scared of death. And the reason why I'm not scared of death is because I believe that I am trying to maximize the positive impact that I have in this world, and I have, as per my knowledge, I have as much good intent as possible for the world.
Right.
So even if I were to die today, I don't even care, because I know I tried my best to do good in the world, and I know I tried my best to make a positive impact in the world.
That's very deep. That's very. I didn't know where you're gonna go with that. Anyway, I think you open with just I'm not. We don't know when we're going to die, which is. I'm glad you went there. I'm glad you. It seems like there's a lot of depth to what you're doing. It's not just a money making scheme or something. It's something you really. And I think that's how you're driving it. And yeah, FDR said the only thing to fear is fear itself, right? So you don't fear anything. And that's probably plays into it too, because you're doing good, so you're brave. I think that's what you said. You're brave. That's a good way. The best way I could sum it up.
Thank you.
So you mentioned that you want to incorporate a lot of people in this project. You've had a lot of interest in academia, and that there's many partners involved, and you want to grow. So how do you plan to segue into the professional worlds, the workplace even, and how do you think corporations and that sector could use your app and your nonprofit? How do you think that you could influence them?
That's a very good question. Thanks for asking that, Paul. And I would say that one of the biggest things right now that we're facing is that, let's think about the workplace. People, there's toxicity where there's bosses who are treating humans as if they're treating AI because of this entire AI boom. Humans are being treated like machines. Humans are not given dignity. Even there, I heard that there's people that even when firing, they use AI to fire. I think even Mark Zuckerberg, they're trying to create an AI version of him. So we are losing the humanistic aspect of the workplace. And when we lose the humanistic aspect, we lose empathy. AI does not have empathy. AI is not a being, and AI is not sentient. AI cannot have that real empathy. And for example, if AI is leading someone, or if AI is firing someone, how does it know what that other person feels if it hasn't felt it? It doesn't. And how would that other person feel if some heartless, cold AI thing was actually having major impacts on their life, right? So what we're focused on is basically increasing. So for our Positive Rise app, we're going to have a white label version, which is basically a duplicate version of the app, except it could be used for corporations. They could put their logo on it and use it for internal wellness initiatives. And essentially, it'll show like, okay, so they can do the same thing. They could send content on positive universal human virtues, and it has a one-on-one matching feature, and it's basically it'll increase wellness and positivity in an authentic human manner, so that people don't lose that humanity in this day and age of AI where it's definitely getting lost.
So I think you have a great idea, and I think that it's going places, and you have a clear grasp of what you want to do. And I hope that everyone who sees this, that they want to engage and they want to sort of seek out what you're doing and be a part of it. And I'd like you to just sort of talk about how people can do that and where they can find your website or your LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, anywhere that you think is the easiest way to find you. Just let people know.
Yeah, sure. So you could find Joyful Rise on our website, which is joyfulrise.org. And essentially, when you go through our website, you could also join our mobile app waitlist, and that you'll get notified once our mobile app is open to the public. And you can also join us as a volunteer, or just contact us if you love this conversation or this interview. So thank you so much for watching us.
So this is Pardhu Namburi with Joyful Rise. He's the founder, and from the Bickers Foundation, this is our one-on-one series, and we hope you can join us again and check out Joyful Rise. And thanks for tuning in.